do you actually live in Sun City yourself?
Yeah, I'm a geezer myself.
Sun City, like that? Sun City, Sun City?
Yeah, the original.
Great.
It's the biggest of most of the menus.
Yeah. There. How long have you lived there?
Well, it's a long story. Actually, I've been working there prior to me being in real estate in my former business, but I have to say 6 years.
What is?
Certainly not for everybody. You know, someday when you guys get older, it might be appealing to you. It works
For
a lot
us
of
older
people.
ones, yeah.
What?
Yeah, you know, there's no city sales tax. The houses, the average property tax is under $1,000 a year for most of the houses. There's no school taxes, so.
Bang for the buck. It's hard to beat. It really is.
And you can find homes there for less than you can outside the walls. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We
Now,
have no inventory.
if I can ask, only because of, you know, it's great too with all of the other amenities that you have in Sun City. For the most part, do you find that even though it might be a little extra cost, that there's so much to offer that people are just thrilled to death to be able to do it?
Oh, it's a mixed bag. You can do as much as you'd like there or do nothing at all. What you save in school taxes pays for the annual rec center fee, so
That's
it's a
true.
wash.
That's true.
So for the good, actually this is a good segue to get started. I'm sure people are looking in the MLS. Unless you're familiar with Sun City, have you ever experienced a Gemini or a twin home? Do you even know what those are? Unless you're in Sun City, chances are you don't.
It's a fancy name for a duplex.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll find that here. Let's go ahead and click that, and chances are. Oh, you know what? I think I have big things going on. Let me undo all this stuff
Got a lot
here.
of 4-bedroom Geminis.
And not 2,000 square feet. Yeah, let's do it. I was doing a West Wing search for us. There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
So, Gemini twin homes. You'll see how they congregate.
Sun City West.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a long time before I finally learned what that was.
There's a lot of nuances, so if any of you agents who are unfamiliar with all the nuances of Sun City, I pay a 30% referral, so I'll take care of your folks if you send them out that way. A little shameless promotion, forgive me.
No, we all have our niches, and that's session 9. Find your niche.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, I deal with a little bit of everything, but my personal niche at this point is actually investors dealing with multi-units. So any apartment complexes, things like that, that's kind of what over the last few years my niche has turned into. So any investors, and it's hard to do a 30%, but a 25% on a $3 million property, that works out pretty good. Yeah. So yeah, they've unfortunately, as our multi-unit market has exploded, the commissions have plummeted. Yeah, I've done a few for barely 1%, like, and it used to be 2-3%. Like, we're not talking $10 million, we're talking like a basic $1 million complex. Like, no, I'm only gonna pay you this. It's like, yeah. So, yeah. So, but it's fun. It's a great niche. So,
is the community addendum mandatory, or is the HOA addendums enough for Sun City?
for Sun City.
Yeah.
You'll
Because I've
find
seen, like,
it's not an HOA. It is. You'll find it's an actual community addendum that most brokerages just have. I'm not sure it's an official form because we just have had it forever. I'm not sure if I actually got it in zip forms, but Breakthrough has our community addendum too.
for some
most-
City Grand, I guess.
Well, the 3 Sun Cities are
Yeah.
separate universes, so they, you know, if you live in Sun City, you can't use Sun City West or Sun City Grand's amenities. Or if it were the other way around, you're in Grand, you
Here
can't
for
use
the
West.
class.
There's a
Please
community
make yourself
addendum.
at home. Do you need water, coffee, or anything?
Awesome. Oh, thanks for coming by. Yeah.
What's your name?
Rich.
Rich?
Rich,
Thank
nice
you,
to meet
thank
you.
you.
Perfect. Now, if you guys do have a computer, it will come in handy if you want to go along, but if not, we'll be able to take notes and go through everything. And yeah, thanks. I guess we'll go ahead and get going. So just kind of briefly telling everybody, this 101 class has been a kind of passion of mine that I've been trying to set up now for a very long time. And 2019, we're going to be doing it in a revolving 9 weeks. So if you miss any sessions, we'll be redoing them, and we'll just. My goal is this will be a great place for agents just to come to just get the basic knowledge, because I really think it's needed, you know. And if you end up loving breakthrough in the process, I won't get mad. It'll work. But that's really not the goal. It's really just to have that knowledge base out there, truly, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So, you'll see on the outline, you know what? I think I
Can you
have mine in
pass-
my office. Yeah.
I was gonna say, let me take one here, please.
Oh, by the way, I'm Josh Ezel. I'm one of the owners and DB here at Breakthrough. Who's this random guy talking to us? Been an agent for, just celebrated my, coming on my 11th year, just finishing up. So, had now Breakthrough 3.5 years, been a full-time agent pretty much. The moment I made my first sale, I didn't look back. It took me 6 months, put in my notice at Men's Warehouse, and never looked back. And it was one of those things where I went and took the 2-week crash course, because Men's Warehouse, I hate to say it, but they kind of made me angry. And I had got my 3-week sabbatical, and I was like, I'll be back in 3 weeks. Came back a licensed agent, and tried to bail out as fast as possible. And at the time, I had a 2-year-old daughter. And at Men's Work Retail, you don't get to spend much time at home, especially with a single dad, not nearly as much. So that was my main motivation, was to be able to spend as much time with my daughter as possible. And it turned into the greatest thing ever, because you could, oftentimes you can take the kids with you. Real estate is just one of the best businesses for anything, you know, it's limitless. So, yeah, so that's a long story short on me. Okay. Who are you with?
Tempest.
Tempest.
We're the #1 real estate company in Sun City. We're owner, agent owned. We're a lot of former Ken Mead agents.
That's what okay. Perfect. Okay, so we got a Sun City specialist. Where are you located? Avondale?
Goodyear.
Goodyear. Perfect. And you guys are what part of the valley?
Phoenix.
Phoenix?
I'm in Mesa.
Mesa. East Valley.
Nice, yes.
Cool. And Mom's located up in Black Canyon City. So we pretty much have the whole valley kind of taken care of. So this will be cool. So if you guys happen to have any actual searches or clients you need to do research on, throw those out, because I could use random examples, but if we could actually help and do something useful, let's go ahead and run with that, okay? So the MLS, as I'm sure we're all very familiar, it's huge. There is so much that you can do with it, and I'm pretty sure an average agent, what would you say is an average agent is using how much of the MLS truly?
Oh, maybe what,
Yeah.
a third?
Maybe.
I don't think, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 10% or so. It really is. So what I want to make sure that we walk away from is the basics. The 3 things that we really, really need to do to help our clients are know how to do effective searching, using some creative criteria sometimes, being able to set them up with portals/subscriptions, and ideally have them know what we're doing for them, and then next being able to do a good set of comps. If we can do those 3 things, that is the absolute basic, and you'll be able to run with it and help your clients.
I want to learn how to do the portals.
Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and yeah, so that was B. And the big thing is, people I think are threatened by the MLS. And you're not going to break anything, you know? Practice, do some crazy searching. If you've never hit a button before, mess around with it. You know, I love this little field right here. Add a field to the bottom, right? And a lot of people, like for example, what's the difference between if you do lake, notice community features, lake subdivision, as opposed to water. In which case, you actually have a waterfront lot. So you're either in a lake community, but you have a waterfront lot. It's not a lakefront. You would think they'd run with the same words. You're in a lake community, so you're in lakefront, but no, waterfront. Just random things that you wouldn't know unless you're searching for. So the next part for C is have fun. You know, that's how you discover new things. That's how you end up learning. You know, Jeff Raskin, if you ever get a chance, take some of his classes. He is a tech guru. When it comes to taking like our zip forms class, he will take it just whoosh, well above. But that guy just never stops learning. He will spend hours at home just going through stuff, you know? And he gets so excited when he finds new things. He's like, check this out, you know? And having that passion for learning is really what I think we need as agents. From zip forms. It used to just be paperwork. It used to be so easy. Now it's transaction management and you know, and I'm behind the curve on all that stuff. I'm trying to catch up, but that's my next one. So embrace the learning. Acknowledge, don't be threatened. Nobody's gonna break anything. Hit buttons, find out what they mean. You know? Alright, so let's dive into the quick search. And quick search segues right into the portals. So does anybody have a client or any type of search that you want to do?
I have a client that's looking for a townhome right now,
Okay.
and she wants like her HOA under 200 a month.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I figured
Okay.
that out.
Yeah, see? Perfect. Yeah, so you came down here and then you
Like
do it.
Scottsdale area.
Yeah, because you got HOA and then HOA fees and yeah, all that good fun. Max 200. Yeah, that's a good search. Not many people, but more and more today, I'd imagine, with $250, $300. Was it?
Scottsdale's expensive. HOAs are really
Yeah,
expensive.
the towers. Towers on Central Camelback, whatever, like $500 a month. Yeah, that's a great one. So in Scottsdale. Okay. So let's go ahead
Why
and
is
do
this so
Scottsdale.
much?
What's that?
Why are the HOAs so much? Because it's include water?
That's a
Like the
That's a good
amenities, it
Yeah.
depends what they have.
And it's the name and
And
the,
Scottsdale's just overpriced for everything.
mhm.
It's expensive.
Back in the day, HOAs used to be for the community, by the community, and now they're pretty much ran by profit-making
Outside,
companies.
yeah.
And
Management
that
companies.
definitely when in the fall of the market, you had all the big companies came in and bought all the mom and pop HOAs, and so now, yeah, there's a big business in HOAs, that's for sure. And you know, at closing, the HOA always gets paid. That's
That was real, for sure.
yeah. Okay, so Scottsdale. Now let's go dwelling type.
She wants, she's hoping for a garage, which is hard with a townhome.
That narrows it down
Oh,
too.
patio home.
Yeah, you can find a lot of times clients will narrow down their search for you, which
Yeah,
if you end with like, in your opinion, if you're gonna set up a portal for somebody, what is a good amount of homes to have? You know, is like 3, 40, 150? What is a good amount of homes?
I'm thinking like 20.
6, 7, 8.
I'm
I
thinking
mean,
at
for them to
least,
look
yeah,
at
like
on the portal, not
12 to
to look
15,
at
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have to be careful. That's a fine line because you don't want them to never get updates because then they'll forget about you. But you don't want to send them all kinds of extraneous crap that they're not going to like because, you know, so that is a fine line. We're going to get into that a little more. So in the MLS, it's really odd. Why do you have patio home, townhome, apartment style flat, Gemini twin, loft style?
they're all
Why?
different, they're like different construction, like a patio home has that one common wall. You know, there is something that's very specific about
What's the big word that's missing there that almost everybody's like, what?
condominium.
Yeah. Why do you think they made that distinction?
To be a pain in the, no, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Basically, and this isn't, this is what I've intuited over time, okay? And it kind of boils down to what you were talking about, okay? Can a condo be a variety of things? What's the differentiation between a condo and a townhome, for example?
For qualification for loans.
Well,
It
one
makes
you
a
own
difference. Uh-huh.
the interior and one
then
you
when
own,
the land as well as, yeah.
okay? So on a townhouse, what is that?
Isn't that the one where you own the inside
Basically,
and the condo is where you own the outside? You know,
can be.
Wouldn't they all be considered PUDs except a condo?
Pretty much. Overall, it can go both ways. Like you can have a loft style, which is not. You could have a townhome, which technically is a condo. you can actually go back and forth. So what you're going to find is that what it really boils down to are the tax records and the style of unit. When it boils down to between a condo, it really doesn't make a difference on the actual building itself. A condo can be, you can condo map a variety of different things. There's a distinction for if, as far as the construction blah 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 that you'll get into, but overall, do you own the land in the building? Because if you have a stacked unit, it may or may not be called a condo, it can be called a loft. It can be called a variety of different things, but obviously, if there's a person above you, do you own the airspace? No. If you're on the third floor, do you own the land? No. And that's why. A condo can be a variety of different things, but a townhome is a townhome. A patio home is a patio home. A loft style is a loft style. So they differentiate it by more of what the units will be. It's really weird, yeah.
Well, aren't there some loans too that make a difference? I was thinking, forgive me, because I don't remember if it's VA or whatever, that you have to make sure if,
You check with them to
yeah,
make sure they
if,
allow
does
it.
this
Within
area
ratio, yeah.
allow,
Weird
and you know,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, are you gonna be living there, or are you gonna use it to rent? So,
And that's where you also get back into the HOAs, because some of them don't allow more than a certain amount of rentals to begin with, and then,
I bet you,
yes. Is it 75% still? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I would have to check.
I think so. Yeah, so did they not? Were they not able to get it?
No, a condo, community didn't allow FHA loans.
Yeah,
Interesting.
You have
there's,
to know that when you're listing the property,
they should
on what
label
loans
it.
you're allowed to, accept.
Yeah, yeah, you're seeing less and less of them, but they're still popping up because of how many investors usually are in the building. Yeah, it's a bad investment if there's too many investors, according to them. So anyway, okay, so when we're doing quick searches, there's a lot of different factors involved. So your client's bringing up some good ones. And let's go ahead and do garage spaces, because let's see, we have 96 right now. And what did it matter? 1, 2?
At least one minimum.
Let's see what we got. 55. Yeah. Now, is she needing anything in particular as far as bedrooms?
2 bedrooms, and then, 2 bathrooms.
Ideally 2 baths? Okay, so
What
let's see what
part
this
is
knows, because that'll get rid of a lot of Old Town Scott stuff. Well, the garage does too.
And then up to like 400,000. Which is a lot for that.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Okay, and up to 400? Okay. That should, let's see what we got. 32. And honestly, I think that about between 30 and 40, I think that's the perfect number. They're going to stay up to date. You've narrowed it down to a good enough field where they're not going to get crap, and they're going to get regular updates. I think that is one of the perfect.
Just
That's
like
the
set
perfect
up
amount.
a subscription, they have like 90 something on there.
She's all there looking.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's too many.
And some people like looking at homes, some people really do, but yeah, exactly. Okay, so when we're doing, well, we could go ahead and pop down really fast. Okay, so when you're doing a subscription / portal, okay, what's the difference between the two?
I don't know. I can only do subscriptions. I can't figure out the portal.
Okay, the portal is the actual website you create for your client. And they get their own custom URL. When you first set up your MLS over here in your portal, in your profile, you actually set up your portal address. It could be, AJ Kovac's clients. Perfect, and then it'll have however you designate them from there. When I first became an agent, nobody walked me through it. I thought I was setting up my first portal. Little did I know I was setting up the master portal. So everybody on mine was Vicky Welty Home Search 1. That was that. It's like my clients all the time would be like, "Hey, I'm not Vicky Welty. Who's this Vicky Welty?" It's like, sorry. So, but she was one of my very first clients. Loved her to death. So when you first set that up, you can be creative, and you can change it at any point in time, come to find out. So you're not set with just that. So come up with something creative, and each of your clients will then get their own subdomain, and it's their own custom website. The portal can have as many searches as you want on it, okay? Now, it's up to you if you want to take it to the next level and keep them updated with that search. That's the subscription, okay? So the portal is the master website. You could set them up with, let's say, because how many times do you have a client who's looking in Mesa? And then next thing you know, we really like Chandler. So it's like, okay, let's add a Chandler. You know what? We drove out to Maricopa. Okay, let's add Maricopa to your list. You know, and eventually you have all these searches. They can go to their portal and have every single one of those searches there and see every single update, see every single listing at any moment. It is better than obviously Realtor.com and all of them because that's where they get all of their information. So it is, the way you sell it is, it's a custom website that I set up for you. The only downfall people don't like is that they can't tweak the searches themselves. Okay? So in every email, just say, hey, if you want me to tweak anything, let me know. I'll gladly change it. But it is the best website. Okay? So, yeah, let's go ahead and continue this, then I'll show you. You could actually log into your clients' portals and actually see their portals. So remind me to do that before we finish up. Okay, so since we have this search set up and we think it's a good amount, let's go ahead and save it. Right up front, this save search is really what's going to kind of create your starting point. Okay? Now, depending on how far you want to go, you can do it either way. So let's say save type, this is where you're going to see everybody does it differently. Okay? In my opinion, I'm all about custom searches. Some people try to do one search over here and send it out to 50 billion people. Like, this is my surprise 3-bedroom, 2-bath search. It takes 2 seconds to do a search, in my opinion, right? And what we just did may or may not have some subtleties and nuances that other people might not like. So I always save new, okay? I always do. And in this case, I would save it for, let's just hypothetically say it was my client. Let's say Sherry, Scottsdale, condo, search, right? And then these are all the currently active condos. And if you want, you can break it down, blah, 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 because people will question it sometimes, et cetera, et cetera. In Scottsdale with at least 2 beds and 2 baths with a garage. Alright? And I always say currently active, just so they know it's currently up to date, right? And then you just save your new contact, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, because they double check email addresses. I think I'm in here like too many times, probably.
Well, put me in.
I think I've used you a few times too. Let's see.
Alright, doodad.
Let's see, JoshuaJ5@gmail.com. Let's see if that one works. Good, okay. So right here, you'll see create a portal for this one. You don't have to, but I strongly recommend you create the portal because that gives them a point to come back to at any moment. Let's say they saw a home last week. What's your auto updates? What are those? Every day when somebody wakes up to their email or, 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning, or whatever it might be, and they get their update, what are those?
Everything that's current for that day.
Okay?
Or
Not just today,
changing
yeah.
status on the listing.
But for how long? Like if they get an update, how
Like
long
every
will they
day
get that?
It's renewed, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's
is it like
typically,
Well, it's up to what we put in,
Oh,
because
every
we could
3
take a week
days?
or 3 days or whatever, however often you want them to receive it.
for example, when you do a price change, how long does the notification stay up there?
I don't know.
3 days. 3 days. If you update a listing, 3 days. Price change, 3 days. New listing, 3 days. Right? So basically keep that as, if you change anything, 3 days. That's the general rule. Okay, change pictures, it'll show up. Change price point, new information, open houses, it'll show up on portals for approximately 3 days. Unfortunately, after 3 days, it's gone. It won't be on your update anymore. Right? Your portal records every single update, every single email you've sent to your people. And they could track every single thing at any point in time. And if the home isn't there, you can go to the portal and it'll say sold, pending, all that stuff. And it'll actually give your clients such a great idea of what the market is. You know, if you're trying to get them off and they're just relying on the auto updates, all they see are new things, new things, new things. They're not seeing the sold, 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 pending, 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 you know, all the AWCs. That's where the portal comes in handy too. So they really go hand in hand if you sell them together, I guess. Okay? So definitely create the portal. And then now we have to invite people and they have to basically opt in at this point. Okay? I guess we spammed people, I guess, and started just signing people up. So let them know that you're going to invite them to the portal and sell them. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on the portal itself?
Can you add a bunch of people to that same, like, when you're creating a portal, is it just only for one person at a time? Or can you, like, add 10 people at the same time?
Each person will have their own portal. They could have the same searches on their portal. They could share and send stuff back and forth to people, but each person would have their own. I guess it's tied to an email address. So if you have a husband and wife sharing the email address, they can use the same code and have all that. Back in the day, we used to create their username and their password. And so people would come to us and whoever they gave, they could do it, you know? It was up to them. Right now, this is how we do it, so
There's no comma, you can't put comma in
Well,
emails.
you know, on the very last page where you do the actual email, and then where it has, you know, their email address, and then you have the ability, isn't it there to maybe add another one?
that's for the, well, we'll get into that next, yeah.
That's what he says.
So right there under additional search, you can see what do you want to keep them updated on. Obviously status changes, open houses, price changes, new, back on the market. You know, so you can actually pick what you want to keep them updated on. And then within the last 24 hours, day, months, what's really cool about this, and this is what I learned from Jeffrey Raskin, right here. Listings entered and modified within the last 24 hours, okay? So if we actually did status change, okay, within the last 30 days, what would that technically keep people updated with? Status change within the last 30 days.
What's staying active?
Yeah, or what's
What, how
comps.
quickly?
Comps.
Oh,
Whenever you
okay.
sell a home,
Okay,
you could actually set them up with a portal for their neighborhood and it'll keep them updated on their comps. And you could actually say anything in the last 30 days, whatever it might be. And it'll literally just keep them updated and they won't get all the extraneous stuff. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I set up portals, but I never set it up with the last, because it's like, well, I started at this date, so it just keeps a running total. Well, there you go. So yeah, kind of cool thing there. Okay, let's go back to 24 hours. All right, so let's go ahead and save and add the subscription. What's neat about the next part is the portal is done. Okay, it automatically saved the search criteria, it frames it, it makes it look all pretty, you're good to go. Okay, so the next thing it wants to do is, now you're going to get these updates, your client will. What do you want the message to say? Well, a great thing to do is, as an agent, you're going to set up portals. You're going to, by default, when you set up a portal, you're going to do a subscription. In other words, your clients are going to get regular updated emails. What do you want that email to say? Number one. And number two, do you want to retype that message over and over and over and over again? Okay, so right here, this right up here, save as new, update, rename, mark default, those are your templates. So right now, I have mine set to just a generic portal update because this is a basic good template email that I just changed 3 words in and it's good to go, okay? But you could save a bunch of different templates if you want, okay? So this one, since this is my subscription, I say, what do we call her, Sherry? Right? I think that's what we named her. Okay? Now let's say you have several searches set up for them, okay? You be as specific as possible. And there's a number of reasons why you would want to do this, okay? So number one, their name, and number two, I would say Scottsdale condo with garage portal. Okay? You might end up setting her up with another one without garages. You may end up different area. Who knows, right? But right off the bat, without you having to log in, without anything, who it is, what it is, when it is, right? And then right here, I just changed the name. Sherry. And then there you go. So this is her updated email that she gets every single Monday, Sunday through Saturday if she gets an update. Sherry, there have been updates to your Scottsdale condo with garage portal. Get her excited, right? Hey Sherry, hope you're having a great day. That's my thing. I say that just to everybody. There have been updates to your portal. Click the link to view these changes. If you have any questions, like to move forward, please don't hesitate to call, right? Thank you. Talk to you soon. Just a quick message. You know, it's up to you what little tidbit you want. Light a fire under them. The market's hot. If you see anything you like, call me. That's another great message. You know, anything like that. But notice, I just had to change a name. I put a little description, change the name, and it's done. Okay? So save a template. Okay? Save is new. It's that simple. Just name it. And you have typically a search that you set up for people, a portal that you set up for people. Whoever it is you're working with, chances are you have like 4 or 5 messages you're having to type regularly. Save yourself that time. Okay? Alright, so once you have that set up, you just hit save. Okay? And then you gotta love it. Email these listings now if you want, you know, it's up to you. Okay? But it is set up. Okay? Now that we have this, let me go ahead and go back because I was going to do comps before we did the portals. Okay, so any questions on portal stuff? I wish we had more time because there's so many subtleties when it comes to the portal and subscriptions. Do you understand the difference between the two?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. And I'll show you a different thing under the actual client. Actually, yeah, let's do CMAs really quick since we have these up, and then we'll go back into the portal. People forget passwords, people don't know how to log in, people do all that stuff, people forget that you set it up for them. There's lots of ways to make it easy. So, okay. When it comes to comps, hold on. Oh, I didn't do the map search. See, I'm all over the place. Sorry about that. Okay, so statuses. When you're setting up portals, when you're sending homes out to people, do you send UCB, CCBS, delayed, any of those out to people?
No, not if they're looking, they're active. You want active, yeah.
Just active, right? Now, isn't it interesting when the MLS does their numbers, if anybody looks at the stat newsletter, how they actually keep track of the CCBSs and UCBs. If you leave those numbers in, we have a decent seller's market. Okay, it's on the verge of a normal market. It's getting closer and closer. If you actually get rid of those, you just got rid of about 3,000 homes, easy, and you're definitely in a seller's market still. Okay, we sell 8,000 to 9,000 homes a month, and we legitimately have about 17,000 to 18,000 active homes. Okay, that's 16,000. We're right there, barely 2 months supply still. So even though the numbers are slowly creeping up, I agree. So make sure when you're setting up portals, sending homes out, active. You know, CCBS just sets your people up for pain. You know, can they write an offer on it even if they love it? Cash offer. It's not like they could just walk away. You know. So, sorry.
So when is it like balanced out? Like either buying or selling off, I guess. How many houses?
They say 3 to 4 months supply.
3 or 4.
Okay, now that varies because during the summertime we sell less homes. During, you know, right now between February, March, April, it's our busy season. Yeah, so like right now we're gonna pick up, and so by like April, I'd say we're gonna be pushing 9,000 sales, 9 to 10,000 sales in that month. Middle of summer we can dip down to barely 7,000 sales. So typically though, 3 to 4 months is a normal market. Above 4, buyer's market. Under 3, definitely a seller's market. So Maricopa County it's huge. Right now we have, I think, 18. In the fall of the market, I remember the highest I ever remember actually seeing was 68,000 active homes.
Wow.
insane. So that's a lot of short sales.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure you know what you're sending out to people, and oftentimes if you have skewed stuff, it's because of accidentally clicking random things over here. You know, delayed. Those are. Has anybody shown a delayed
What is
home?
a
Used a
delayed
delayed home?
home? You mean like it's not active on the MLS?
Pre-MLS. Yeah,
So it's
it's there.
called
It's just not
delayed.
active yet. Yeah. They're saying that it may actually, quote unquote, be a small breach because it's not available to everybody, and there are, I guess, some of them are actually selling to the point that other people, well, some owners are questioning. It's like, well, if it's sold
Because they're being
and it's not even
excluded and-
active, did I really get as much as I could have? It's actually caused a few different interesting questions. Yeah. So, okay. So, does anybody actually use, when you're running comps, okay, what are the main things that you look at when you're going to run comps on a property? So,
Well, the neighborhood.
okay. So, would you say, and how do I kind of quantify this one? When you're doing comps, do you find a lot of your clients gravitate towards, for example, zip codes and different things of that nature? Okay.
Depends.
Okay, for some reason, I get a lot of my clients, like they mention, well, this home sold over here, this home was sold over here. When people first start off, well, other homes in 85308 sold for this much. It's interesting how people gravitate. So in our areas, for example, Avondale, there's several communities that are like Garden Lakes is a beautiful garden community, or lakefront community. And then on the south side of I-10, you have Coldwater Springs, which is one of the most affordable golf course communities. Two completely different, but same city, same zip code, mile away from each other. Not comparable at all. Downtown Phoenix, block to block to block to block. I mean, it's crazy. So what is your go-to method when you're going to do comps? Do you use neighborhood? Do you use the map? Do you use zip code? What do you guys use?
I try to stay in the neighborhood.
Neighborhood?
It's
If I
distance,
can.
I guess. Yeah, the neighborhood.
Proximity? Yeah.
I've done the neighborhood just to see, just to let my client know what's going on. But if there's not many in that neighborhood, then I broaden out, but then I narrow it to be kind of like the same type house, so that we're able to compare, you know, apples with apples
Yeah.
and stuff. So sometimes I do the two.
Yeah, especially like when it comes to a lot of your new builds, well, newer communities, basically since 2000. Subdivision definitely it plays a huge factor.
Yeah.
When it comes to the older homes, it's a lot tougher, and you have to go kind of case by case. When it comes to Sun City, obviously, you have to compare type of home, age of home. I mean, Sun City West is one of the funniest places to try to do comps because you have the 1970s, then you have the 1980s, then you got the 1990s, and then you got Corbella over here. And there's a lot of subtle nuances to running comps. And I can tell you this much, there's no right or wrong answer. The right answer comes in looking at it from several different angles. And that's how you don't get surprised. So let's go ahead and the one here I pulled up in the back, the CMA. Okay, that is at my daughter's old gym. She went to Arrowhead Spinettes. There's a huge group of West Wing people. And it was like, as far as I was concerned, it's the clique of that gym. It's so funny, are you in West Wing? Then you can carpool with us. But if not, then nope. That was the group. And because of that group, though, I became very familiar with West Wing. And it's a unique community because there's a lot of different builders. Inside that community, you have small homes and huge homes. You have a gated community, a not gated community, and they're actually still building. So you have a little bit of everything. It's a great community, and it's a huge community to actually practice on. So if you're ever wanting to do some stuff, it's a good, predictable area, and you're not gonna. If you go downtown, you may not know what you're sampling, and so you may not know what you're going for. It's kind of one of those type of communities. So let's go ahead and practice with Yeah, so obviously, active pending closed, all that good fun. Now, let's hypothetically say we're dealing with a 2,200 square foot, one-story home in Westwood. Okay, 4 bedrooms. Okay, so help me out. What should I do here?
I would go size 1,800 to 2,600, 400 each way.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
Age maybe 3 or 4 years each way. Site size, same thing. Garages, all that. And kind of narrow down from there. Start taking check boxes off.
And then
Yep.
would you do, you know, the 1-story, 2-story, I mean, in
Absolutely.
other words, so,
It's kind of
you
bracket
know.
each one is, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So let me go ahead and type in West Wing. And what's kind of cool is that if you kind of start off with what you know is going to be the larger, then you can kind of watch it work its way down. So let's go ahead and go off market. Now, in a perfect world, what do we say?
Last 6 months.
90 days? Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Oh, 90 days.
Within the last 3 months, in a perfect world, that would be great. If you can't get into a large enough sample, then yeah, scale back to 6 months. Keep going longer if need be, but try not to if at all possible. So let's go ahead and take it back to, go ahead and I'll go 9. Oops. So, boop, boop. Okay, and let's see what we got.
The off market, does that bring up sales? Brings up, or does it bring up everything that's off market?
Basically, active pending UCB. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take it to the other one, which up here, I never.
I use that. I'm an appraiser, so I use that all the time.
Yeah, I sometimes I go through here under contract date, close of
That's
escrow
usually
date,
yeah.
but by default it actually pulls up. I didn't do canceled, so that's pretty much the only ones that I didn't do. So if any of those occurred, then it'll pull them up. So so off market date, there we go. You're an appraiser. It's good to know.
Yeah.
So got 9. Now we have 2 active, 1 UCB, and we got several closed. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So talk about a market, right? Now there's so many, this is what I wanted to spend some time touching on, because being able to communicate a good CMA will make all the difference in the world. Once your clients find the right home, it's up to you to help them help them find the right offer. If you're going to be listing a home, it's up to you to convince your clients what the right value is that will get it done, right? And the better you know your CMA, the better you can use it from all the angles, okay? So this is actually a different search than the one I gave here, so let's just run with the one that's up for right now. Okay, so if there's 2 active, 1 pending, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sold, and we did 3 months back, what does that mean?
You've got an active neighborhood,
Okay.
So,
you know, people are selling.
That means, and that by default
And
means how much
people
supply
are
do we have?
buying, yeah.
6 sales
3 months.
in the last 3 months, that's 2 a
months.
month, and right now there's 2 active.
1 month, yeah.
We've got 1 month supply. As far as the seller goes, is that a good time to possibly sell your home?
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that there's been this much activity in the last couple months, that's happy, right? So right off the bat, these are certain things that you could just start looking at in a different way if you've never looked at it before. So let's go ahead, and I love just the basic CMA, the statistical buyer's CMA. You can do the full CMAs, there's lots of different searches and stuff, but this quick CMA literally has all you need. You could walk into a listing presentation, and as long as you have the listings that you're going to use to compare them with and your CMA, you basically should have everything you need, right? So right off the bat, what are some things, like let's say that it was a 2,200 square foot home, and let's say it was listed at $349. Okay, so 2,200 square feet. Can someone grab a calculator really quick? And let's do 2,200 square feet divided by what did I say? 249, 349.
2,200 divided by.
349,000 divided by 2,200 square feet. Yeah.
Okay, hold on,
couple things that are almost always true. It's crazy.
158.64.
What is it?
158.64.
Okay, so let's remember that, 158.64. Okay, so right off the bat, Coyote, 1,800 square feet, it's only $312,000.
Yeah,
Alright.
but
What's so funny is that it is the least expensive home, but 99.9% chance it is one of the worst values in the neighborhood.
per square foot.
Almost always, the least expensive home in the neighborhood is almost going to be the most expensive price per square foot. Just because on the surface it's the least expensive does not make it the best value by any means. By flip-flop, oftentimes when you have a 4,000 square foot home, you take a hit because it's too big, right? So keep in mind both sides of the spectrum. If it's too big, you're going to take a hit. If it's smaller, you might get a premium. It may not sell for the most expensive, but price per square foot, you're going to get more. All right? So you're going to find that this falls in line a lot. Coyote being 312, well, sounds great on the surface, and then you look over, ooh, not good. Look at that. Look what it sold. 115, you got 178, okay, but 132, 146, 129, 131. That home is literally like $30 a square foot more expensive than the neighbors. Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay?
But
So-
things you have to remember, when you're looking at the comparisons, absolutely.
Yeah. So ours is listed at $349, which is 150 some odd dollars a square foot. So compared to the neighbors, it was listed pretty good, right? This one's listed 167, this one's listed 144, this one's a little bigger. So it seems to fit, right? As far as listings go, it's right in between. But look at the solds. What would a fair price, do you think, as a group, what do we think a fair value for a 2,200 square foot average home in this neighborhood?
Well, if you look at the comparisons.
And that's where the CMA comes in. If you come up here to the closed, you can see, right here you've got the list price, average $319, sold $310. Average home has sold for 97% of its asking price. So that's what that 0.97% of asking price that it sold for. So 310, 319, 370. You can see that one of these, there you go, 370 sold price, 364 was what it was listed for. What
That does
probably
make
happened.
Concessions.
See, there's so many different ways to look at it because as a buyer, you'd be like, yeah, it went for over, but it's because they went for concessions. A sit listing, it's like, yeah, it sold for over, but they really didn't. They most likely gave that money back, more than
But
likely.
how do you share that with your client? Because they're thinking, oh, I could ask, $178 per square foot for my house. It's like, well, wait a minute,
Exactly. They'll always gravitate towards the high sale. Oh, yeah.
You can look at it and say, like, look, it was highly upgraded, or whatever the reason, or something, there's always a reason. Usually,
Exactly. Yes.
seller carries
So
back.
why was the
Yeah.
sold price higher than the listing price? Because of competition?
Okay. So what you're gonna find is half a dozen of one, 6 of another. It's all the same. So if a seller needs to get, let's say, $250,000 for their home. Okay? Does it make any difference to you if your buyer comes in and offers $5,000 more than asking and gets that $5,000 back just so they don't have to come and pay closing costs?
it's the same
So
thing.
if the home will appraise, you can do that. So you'll find right now some homes legitimately go over asking price. The majority of them are slightly going over $3,000 to $5,000 because the buyers are getting that money back in closing cost assistance. Okay, it still gets the seller what they want to net, and it helps out the buyer too. So in a world where we're having good appraisals, it's a great tool for a win-win.
So even though the appraisal maybe would come under, say like closer to what they were originally asking, no?
That's the catch. If it doesn't appraise, the whole thing's off. Then you're gonna have to redo the negotiations because the bank's only gonna lend what it appraises for.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if it appraises, your money. If not, then you might have to come back to whatever they say. Yeah. But let me give you a little we talked about this last week. For a new agent getting started, if you have a neighborhood that you want to own, this is one of the greatest ways to get in with the neighbors, okay? You know the truth, okay? 370, they probably got concessions. We can go back and check it out. But if you live in West Wing and you know the neighbor up the street sold his home in 7 days for $5,000 over asking price, would that be a good selling point? Do you think your neighbors would like to know about that? You know, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer or seller, I'm a local neighborhood, I mean local realtor in your neighborhood, I just realized that your neighbor like 3 houses up sold their home in like less than a week for over $5,000 over asking price. Have you guys thought about selling? You know, it's a great tool. Door knocking, open houses. If you hold an open house in this neighborhood, have that there. Be like, boom, you know, door knock. Homes that sell over asking price in less than a week, it's one of your greatest selling points. I would talk to every neighbor in there and find out, because right now, they only have 1 month supply. So are they saturated? Heck no. Yeah, you got some ins. So, cool thing. If anybody's down to door knock or need door knocking, buddy, I'm one of the few that's not scared. I'm weird, so I'm down. All right, so, okay, so we know that the average list price is, well, $310,000 for a 2270. That actually kind of sucks, because that really throws a hint on our 2250, 350. So which way can we look at it? Well, let's take our 350, or that it's listed at, and take 97%. That's one way to look at it, okay? The other way to look at it is your average sold price, 138.17. Multiply that by the 2250. Find out what that comes to. That's 2 ways to find out what an average fair market price for this home would be, not including any upgrades or anything like that. It's just, this is what the averages are. So what is it? What is 138.17 times 22? Did I say 2250 or 2200?
I'm sorry, say
2200?
that again, because I took the 350 times the .97 and came up with 339.5.
339.5.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And
So
so what
that's-
was the other amount you said?
That was if we did it off of the average percent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the 339, something like that. Okay. So then let's do price per square foot. 138.17 times 2200. 303,974. Jiminy Christmas.
Quite a difference.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. And then the highest was 178, and that would obviously be over,
Yeah.
right? So if this house is average, chances are it should go somewhere between the 303 and the
339.5.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So based on the upgrades and based on everything you find, that's where you would come in and try to find the right price. If it's less than average, obviously you wouldn't want to pay more than 138 per square foot. If it's the nicest home, you may want to pay average. Who knows? You know, without knowing the true upgrades, the details of the home, it's really hard to figure out exactly where it should be. But if I was an investor, I would sure as heck want to come in closer to the 300, or if I was, you know, if I'm not an emotionally tied buyer that just found the perfect home and it has to be this one, that's a whole different story. But if you can haggle, let's haggle. This home's definitely overpriced, is my opinion. Would you agree? Right?
So if you come in, say with the 349 or whatever it is, and we know that maybe the high price reasonably is 339.5, would you say, you know, all right, let's try it for 2 weeks, you know, and if nothing happens, then we, you know, are going to lower it to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't utilized that tactic, there's so many little tricks. It definitely behooves you if to take a couple planned price drops just in case. In a perfect world, they'll come in at the right price that you would suggest. But there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's go ahead and do it your way for 2 weeks, and we'll go this price. But then in 2 weeks, we're going to go here, and then in 2 weeks, we'll go here. And you could up front have a whole month's worth of price drops already planned, signed off on, good to go. You know, and it really puts it back on them too. It's nice because it's not your fault if it doesn't sell. It's like, oh, sure, we'll do it your way. That works. And then they know, because some people have to learn the hard way,
Yes,
unfortunately.
very adamant.
So, okay. So coming back to the CMA, we have the average price. Okay, you can see that one sold for above, average being 3%, 2270 price. Now, days on market. Okay, now you're gonna find there's a trend, and this one throws a little kink in it because you have this one here, okay?
Yeah, but look at how, yeah, okay.
And it did. It took a long time to sell, and that's out of the norm. More often than not, you're gonna find that the sales prices, right? Okay, so let's see here. 124 usually would have been one of the quickest sales. Then as you go up, it gets more and more and more. This is actually weird. This really throws a kink in ours.
Short sale maybe or something weird.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
you wonder if something had happened to the property,
Yeah.
because look at what it started at 290 and what it ended up at 255, so what is that, 45,000 difference?
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. See, without knowing the full, it's kind of sometimes you get burned by the regulars. In the actual CMA that I included, I actually left it a lot more open. So you'll see that there's actually a total of 13, and you'll see that it does actually follow through. So you'll see that the most expensive active home is the longest days on market. You'll see that the 50 days active, or the 50 days is one of the longest, 284, 124, 154, but then you have the 115 sold fast, 147, 141, you know, it's kind of one of those general rules, but this one, the least expensive one did sell the fastest. So that's kind of one of those things when you're in a listing presentation, you can spin it back on them, because it's like, you know, well, we want this. Okay, well, if we listed price there, you can see how long it'll take. Look, your neighbor is priced here, and that's how long it took them to sell their home. Whereas if we come in at 132, look what happened. You know, and it's a great tool to be able to spin it back on them. And it's comparing apples to apples using facts. You know, it's not saying, oh, well, my house, I installed that toilet myself. It's like,
Or look at my
great.
backyard.
You know, well, let's compare the neighbors that have that same bathroom, you know, and you could actually come back and forth. Pools, what's the general rule that you guys found on pools? How much are they worth, I guess?
25,000.
Appraiser, what are pools worth?
10, 15, 20, somewhere in there.
10, 15, yeah.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
10 usually.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's interesting when they even say, you know, like, we've upgraded the bathrooms, or we upgraded the kitchen, it's like, you know, that's nice, you know, can be a positive. But the other thing I wanted to ask, so we have like this CMA, which is the statistical analysis. Do you find that sometimes it can be helpful to actually have the other part where it has the specific information, you know, of the house in addition to this, so that they can actually click on it and actually see what does this house have that maybe they don't have? Or, you know, again, you want them to have all of the information so that they're selling at what's gonna be best for them.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. If you can just have your computer with the MLS and then this, you can compare apples to
Okay.
apples, you've got everything you need, because you can find out, well, so-and-so sold for, you know, the 370. Well, that was hands down the most expensive sale in the neighborhood, so why? And you can immediately pop over and
Okay.
find out why Bryles literally sold for as much as it did. You know, and so that really helps. 1 story, 3-car garage, didn't even have a pool. Yeah.
Must
Yeah,
have an
big up front,
oasis backyard.
Arroyo in back,
Yeah,
no neighbors, RV gate, nice sized lot, yeah. So you can truly compare.
okay.
When it comes to, though, getting the full picture, what might we have missed in this case? Okay, and this is where we looked at 1 story, 20, you know, within 400 square feet. So would it be wrong to take a quick step back and come back and undo these and just see what is in what the activity was in West Wing in general over the last 3 months? Because I've been, there was one, oh man, this was actually just recent. I had a listing in Peoria, and it was a great 2-story home, and so I did comps on 2 stories. And little did I know, it was one of like 4 2-story homes in the entire neighborhood. And hers was literally the one exception to the rule, and there were 6 active 1-story homes that I was up against. Had no clue, because I didn't do that extra searching. So, look at this. So we started off with 9, and look at this. Now that we took a step back, how many are there total?
66,
66, and how many of them are active?
quite a few.
Okay, so 28 active, truly, in all of Westlink.
Wow.
So we had 2 that fit our criteria.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see, look, oh, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Okay, so if that's a 3,000 square foot home, and we wanted 349 for our 2,000, see, that would have gotten us. So 3,000 square feet, that was
Yeah.
far above what we were thinking. You know, and that's what I mean. You come back, and if you're doing a small section of the community, take a look at the whole community. If you're looking at 1-stories on a like under 1,000 square feet or under 1,500 square feet, come back and look at the full big picture. You know, if you're looking at 3,500 or more square foot homes, come back and see if there's a bunch of 1,800 square foot homes in that neighborhood, because that will definitely throw off your numbers, but it'll help you get the full picture. Because right now, if this was your listing now, look at this, what would you do? This is your competition.
But turning it on the other side, you know, say like you have a buyer coming in and they want to know what would be a good asking price. Is this
Yeah.
not another tool?
Well, and that's why we keep going back and forth, because if you're representing the buyer, heck, I'm going to use this and be like, what the, those guys are crazy, man. You get a 3,000 square foot for 345. I think we should come in at your low end. On the flip side, if you're listing the home, this isn't going to be nearly as pleasurable. Mr. and Mrs. Sellers, I really think with 2,200 square feet, you're going to need to come in at like 310. Like, you know, not quite, but let's say 315, 320. You know, that's not gonna be nearly as pleasurable. But when it comes to helping buyers, it's like, let's get them. You know. So okay. So any questions on comps? And this is something that, you know, over time we could spend hours going over so many different things, because remodeled homes, new builds, central communities, acreages, there are a lot of different factors to CMAs and being able to kind of determine the right values, depending, especially if it's a buyer or seller. So any questions on anything, ideas?
Well, the other thing I was just thinking, especially if say for example, this was an area I wanted to farm, and so I want to be the agent for this area.
Yep.
And so if I know what the activity is, and then what I love is, and I don't know, maybe you're going to address this, but how that you can go into the monsoon and I can pull up the tax records, but I can see, you know, who bought what when, and whether or not this might be a good home to go door knocking to say, hey, you know, did you notice your neighbor up here? And to know that they're the ones I want to ask, have you thought about selling your home?
Oh, monsoon's amazing. And you could actually, if you use that in conjunction with, for example, like coal, you could actually get phone numbers, addresses, emails for all those people's birthdays, all that good fun. But yeah, if you want to own a neighborhood, doing open houses, utilizing the hot market, and in conjunction with coal, or monsoon, how often does the average Arizona keep their home? Or how long do they keep it for?
45 years.
5 years, between 4 and 5 years.
Oh, really?
So right now, I would, if you are in any specific area, pull up everybody who bought their home approximately 5 years ago, especially,
Alright.
yeah. And then come back and find the neighbor who sold their home in less than a week for over asking price and go knock on their door. Have you guys thought about it? Yep. Perfect. So, okay. So let's, just a few other little tricks. Let me make sure I did hit everything. Oh, polygons versus squares. This is the silliest thing in the world. Okay, squares are really, really easy, right? I'm sure everybody's used them so far. Let's say you want to, oh, you know what, let's come over. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so for example, let's pick a weird shaped community, which would be,
Oh, a turkey, no.
oh, yeah, Sun City West, here we go. Oh, you have Estancia, definitely. Okay, but Sun City West with all the circles. It's a good, fun one. Okay, so what's really annoying is, let's say you're trying to find comps or whatever in a specific spot, and your square, for example, will do this. Okay? And it's like, yeah, I wanted everything on this side of Grand or on that side. So it's just one of those really weird things that when it comes to the polygon, you click, okay, and then you can take it wherever you want from there. So boom, and then you can come up to, let's say, here, and oh, come on, and then come up to there, and then you come down. Now here's the only little thing about it. How do you end it?
Yeah,
Double click.
okay.
Okay, and then be done. Okay, so so many times you end up dragging it around and pulling it up, and it's like, where do you end it? Just double click. And the polygon, it comes in so handy. You know, there's very few square communities, and especially if you're trying to find these little areas. So the polygon comes in a lot. I very rarely use circle. Do any of you guys use circle very much? You do?
Just for the radius, I do a 1 mile radius.
Ah,
Actually, I'll use the little button on the right, put the address in, and you can do a 1 mile circle
there you go.
pretty quick.
Yeah. So you guys are using radiuses, huh?
Oh yeah, it's easy. 1 mile, you know, that's the parameter they put on it.
Doesn't that defy everything I'm
It
teaching,
does.
right?
Yeah, well, I know, we don't pull comps from that, we just show like
Yeah.
overall, here's what's going on.
Awesome. Okay, so I try to get you guys out on time. So let's go ahead and tackle here. So when it comes to your clients and your client prospects, where are my people here? Boop, boop. Where are my contacts? There we go. Okay, so contact management. The more you follow up with everybody, the better. And the more information you can put in here, the better. But the great thing is you can see everything that they've looked at, how long you've been following up with them, all that good fun. So Nairobi, for example, he's one of my fairly active people that's checking his portal regularly. Okay, so he's viewed 230 and total activities logged on that many times. So right here, right at the top, okay, activities, searches, subscriptions, portals, okay. So your search and subscription will pull up his. So you can see right now I have him on a Comdo search and a home search. See, makes sense. So if you go to his portal, you can see both of those. Now right here inside, if you want to change anything, you can go through and edit any of these searches, or you could actually add a new one and go directly. And you can either edit the current one or save it on top of this one. I mean, there's so many different things you can do inside of here. So take advantage of those, like the West Valley search. So let's go ahead and edit it really quick. See, edit view, edit search. I want to actually edit the search for him. So he was, originally we were taking it up to 300, so let's just say right now he wants to go 250. Things change, right? So just come up and save it. Okay. Now you could save it in general, or you could save and add another subscription. If I save it, it's just done. Okay.
And he just, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, if we would have saved and added a subscription, then he would have started getting updates on that new search on a regular basis.
Is that normally what you would do anyway, so that they get the new,
In general,
okay,
yeah. Or you can save it as it just, like right now, he's still, as far as I know, he's just not going to get he's just not going to get anything over 300. So I didn't actually start a new subscription, so it should just tweak the other one.
so that's 250, okay.
That's the way I took it as. Okay, I may be wrong on that, but every time I've saved new, it's added a third one, like another one and another one and another one. Okay. All right. So that's that part. Now, one of the coolest things, and if you haven't done it, highly recommend coming back and actually check out your clients' portals. See what they see. Sign yourself up for whatever it is that you're doing. Okay. The portal is really neat. So the client portal, you're going to see a lot of them are off, and you could actually send them another invite. Okay. So you could, where's this send? Am I blind? Oh. Am I blind?
What are you looking for?
Reset account, maybe?
Could be. Yeah. Yeah, it might be that he's already on there, checking it regularly. Okay, so if it's off, I guess it'll ask you if you want to invite them to redo it, okay? But the view portal, it's really neat. It has all of your information there on every page, and automatically pulls up. So it looks just like what we see, but right here on the top left, it's very small, and on their phone, it doesn't even say menu, okay? So this is where walking your clients through the portal, if you can. You know, up front, tell them about the portal, how neat it is, how updated it is, because people don't utilize nearly as much of it as they could. And it will help them. If they want a showing, do it right here. If they like anything, notate anything, it's all right here. It's way better than so many others. So Nairobi, so you can see his 2 searches right there. His newsfeed, every update he got. Okay? So even if it's just not 2 or 3 days, new, 115, open house, 115. All of them, open houses, 111. See, that's 4 days now. You can see all the most recent. Now let's go ahead and you can see he's saved too. And what's great is that, look, they're both closed. So we can tell him about the market. The moment you see anything, let me know. All right, hidden. It's a bad sign if on your MLS, anybody who has listings, you know, you can do the listing reports, and you see hidden. That's what this is. People who have portals that are removing them so that way they don't see your stuff anymore. So he hasn't removed any, but if you ever have a listing and it has a bunch of hidden, that means people are actually saying, I don't want to see this house anymore. Just don't hide it from me. Yeah. Okay, recommended, obviously good. Hidden by agent, obviously means the agent doesn't think you would like it. And then you can see just these different things, and these are what I sent him. Okay, this was comparable market analysis. These were the active homes when I sent him in August. When was this? August 5th. So you can see it keeps track of everything you've done with them. Okay, and then when they actually click on them, they can take notes, they can favorite stuff, they can do all kinds of things. Contact, print, share, messages, save, hide, notes. It's really cool. And if they want a showing, they could just do it right there. So, any questions on the portal itself?
I totally forgot about the menu.
Yeah. So that's right there. And if you haven't yet, this is a really cool kind of Big Brother thing. Okay? Send a message to me when anybody logs onto the portal. You can see when people are checking your emails. If you can have 50 portals set up, and if you never know when people are looking at them, what good does that do you? It sucks getting a crap ton of emails, but it's very beneficial to know when your clients are actually looking at stuff so you can see what they're looking at. So I do suggest send a message whenever they log into the portal. I do suggest, or at least send a notification with the listings they viewed, those type of things. Okay, and so I just want to close up with 2 final things pertaining to this. When we set up the auto update, we did the name and we did the type of search. Being newer agents, you may or may not have a crap ton of people that you've been able to set up portals with, right? Right off the bat, any new lead you get, that's what you want to do. Right off the bat. We are surrounded by all these other websites. And if you're not careful, they'll come to maybe your website, but they're going to go to Realtor, Zillow, Trulia, they're going to look for property. If you have a good website that keeps them updated with auto updates that they can search, because that's the key, they want to do searching, feel like they're contributing. But then if you set them up with the portal and the auto updates, they are in your world. They don't need to go to Realtor, they don't need to go to Trulia, Zillow, none of those. They will get up-to-date information that's more accurate than any other website. They literally can Realtor update unless MLS updates. Which one has to update first? MLS does, right? So use that to your advantage. People don't understand how these things work until we point that out to them, okay? So the very first thing you do, every open house you do, take everybody, set them up with a portal. Even if you don't know the exact search criteria, try to narrow it down as best you can. Chances are you can get it pretty close, But worst case scenario, hey, Phil, I went ahead and set you up with the portal. If it doesn't work or anything, just let me know. I'll change it. It's very simple, man. I want you to get the best homes for you. You know, they don't care. That's fine. You know, it's like, great. So you do that. Now, you set them up with the portal. You set them up with their subscriptions. Now you can kind of rest easy because you know at the end of every, let's see, I bet they're updating. Not yet. Not yet. There we go. Oh, it's getting there. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Good timing. Perfect. Okay, so when portal updates happen, this is how they show up to me. Now, what's one huge benefit of knowing Basilio's home search came up? Cindy, Trilogy home search, Isaiah 6-bedroom search, Salter's Anthem home search.
Well, number one, you're very specific about what it is in that particular area or whatever it is. So you have what is happening within, what'd you say, the last 3 days?
Yeah, and I know who's getting updates and who's not. I know if somebody's really smoking, like the Smokes, for example. They're one of my listings right now that they're looking for a new home, and I know that if their portal update happened, that I might be able to check that one out. You know, knowing who's getting updates and who's not, very important. Number two, you'll also know now when they check their portal. So you can, without having to look at anything, because if that just said portal update, portal update, portal update, I wouldn't know whose they were, when they were. I'd have to go through, try to find out. By having an organized system up front, I don't have to look at this. Okay, Mackenzie, Palm Valley. Oh, Lorraine, multi-unit. Okay, you know, this is what I have every day. So being able to see it without having to go into every single one. Jan, you know, it's nice to know that Jan's updated. Lorraine, multi-unit. She's very active, so I'll probably check that one. You know, these things come in handy. Do you see what I'm getting at? And then when they do log on, for example, Joel, when he logs on, probably in about 15 minutes, I'll get an update and it'll let me know what he looked at, and I could actually call him if something I think is good. So it's a complete system in and of itself. Are you getting what I'm...
Well, what's nice is because we know that Zillow and Trulia and, you know, all of those are great, but it's not giving them a current, update, accurate picture of what's going on. And so, again, this is another tool that it hopefully allows me to be the, you know, knowledgeable one to give them the right information.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that keeps, you're the expert. Your picture's in front of them the entire time. They're in contact with you. You're showing them the value. Exactly. So, just make sure I got everything. Yeah, we got date, pools, others, CMAs, difference between the portal and the subscription.
What's that, not the portal, what's the other one?
The subscription.
The subscription.
Yeah, what does that do exactly?
It used to be called the auto update. Now that it's called the subscription, people get confused. It's literally the auto updates the web MLS sends them.
Okay. The portal, basically the website, and the subscription is the updates.
Exactly. Yep. And the portal has every single update you've ever sent them. Yeah. Cool. So, a little bit useful, a little bit of information.
Yeah, that's great.
Right on.
Thank you.
Cool. Any questions? Anything?
No. But the neat thing is, like, you know, when you are doing an open house and when they have questions, it's like, well, come here, let's look it up. You know, so I love it.
And set them up with the portal right then and there. That's one of the best things. They won't give you your information for no reason, but if you just found them and set them up with a new search, they'll absolutely give you their information. You know, as much as we want this home to be the right one, likelihood they're going to find another. And having it open to comps and everything right then and there too, because you have a lot of neighbors that come in, and if you have the comps for the neighborhood open, you can send it to them and stuff. That was my list. That lady, that was what I was just doing. I met them this last weekend at an open house, and that home wasn't it, but they live in Buckeye and they were looking to move, so we sat down and boop, 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 set them up with a portal and 2 different searches actually. So,
Cool,
yeah.
cool. Well, thank you.
That's great. All right. Well, thanks guys.
Awesome.
Have a good evening. Yeah, next Tuesday we're gonna be doing zip forms, just the basics, right? To know how to use like MLS Connect, different, just the system as a whole, and then then we hit escrow, and then we hit the lending side, and then we come back after that and we actually go through the buyer contract and the listing contract, like pour over it, ins and outs and stuff like that. So hopefully we're gonna have some good stuff coming.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any cool continuing ed classes coming up?
Thank you all.
Yeah, we also offer free continuing ed all the time too. So yeah, my goal is this year let the breakthrough exist.
I was gonna say, this is spider. Okay, I told you it would work. Yeah, thank you.
I got rid of my hiccups.
Right
I told her
on.
to do it
You ready?
outside.
Here.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Jay, it was nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Nice
guys.
meeting
Thank you.
guys.
Tell me your name again.
Rich
Rich.
Rothwell.
Okay, I've seen you before. No, well, maybe at other classes or whatever. Thank you so much. All right, so safe travels out there. I think it's over.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Michael, thank you.
Here you go.
Yeah. If you guys need anything, don't hesitate to give me a call.
But anyway, I told her to go upside
And
down.
drink.
And drink. It hurts. I'm so, it really worked.
Needle. All right, can I stop this? Are we stopped? How do I know?
I'll do it.
Okay.